Welcome to Behind Blue Eyes, the show that is all things New South Wales Rugby League. We'll talk to our greats of the past about the life and times of our players and people of today. Great to have you on board. Let's go Behind Blue Eyes. All right, it is time to go Behind Blue Eyes, and we're with, of course, Assistant to Brad Fittler, Greg Alexander. Brandy, how's the camp been so far?
Timmy, it's been a good camp. Day off today, but big day yesterday, and the boys got together, of course, on Sunday night. But camp's been good, and the boys are those that are new to it have fitted straight in.
It is a balance, isn't it? The whole 10 days, balance of obviously hard training and having fun, but also learning and giving back. Yesterday was a really important day. The boys went out and mixed with some disadvantaged kids. A great program called Rough Track.
Yes, fantastic. We jumped in the bus yesterday after training, Timmy, and headed out towards Windsor way. It might have been Box Hill, and met the guys from Rough Track. And what they do is train dogs, and they pair disadvantaged kids up with dogs, which in turn helps the kids, helps the dogs, and we're going to auction off our jerseys. So the playing jerseys from Origin 1 will be signed and auctioned off to raise money to help Rough Track. You know, they need a car to ferry the kids around, bring them back to the where they train the dogs, and it's a great thing that they're doing out there.
And as young men, you know, playing State of Origin, they get a lot out of it as well, I'm sure.
They loved it, absolutely loved it. And the kids jumped on the bus with us for a while and had a yarn and shared some stories, and the players were terrific with them.
Yeah, nice touch, very nice touch. Now let's talk football, and look, a couple of big names out of there. I was having a look at some of the highlights from Game 2, and it was really interesting to see last year because Adokar and Trbojevic and Latrell were extraordinary, but they're not here this time. Will there be a very different change to the game plan?
Not really. Look, you know, and I know you can't replace players like Tom and Latrell. You know, we've got Jack Whiten and Katoni Staggs stepping in, and Katoni will make his debut next Wednesday night. You know, and with both those players being fullbacks, they just knew how to roam around the field and bob up anywhere, particularly Tom. You know, I don't think Katoni and Jack will play that, you know, a similar role to either Latrell or Tom, but all in all, the game plan won't change that much. You know, you've still got the spine of Yo, Cleary, Jerome Luai, Damien Cook, James Tedesco, so that remains intact. And you know, hopefully those players on the outside of them will get enough good ball to show us what they've got, and they've showed us plenty in club footy so far.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the spine. A big part of that spine is the Penrith spine. I know that both Freddie and yourself, you're hand in glove. You like to pick players that are in form teams as well, so they bring you a little bit of that winning momentum. And how important is that? And that Penrith spine, they're all intact, touch wood, they're all fit and healthy.
Yeah, they are. Look, I guess it's a balancing act when you do pick a team, and there's all those things. Form. Have they done the job before? You know, there's been a lot of talk about loyalty this week, and you know, some players mightn't be in the best of club form, but if they've done the job before, well, that certainly comes into consideration when you are picking a team. Can't be a blanket rule, and it doesn't necessarily mean that because you've done the job before, you automatically get yourself in, or if you're in form, you automatically get in, Tim. So it's a balancing act to try and get the team right. Some very tough decisions in not picking Josh Adokar and also Jake Trbojevic, but you know, we're pretty confident with the young men we've selected.
It's a long series though, isn't it? Like, who knows what happens tomorrow? So
well,
these guys aren't out of the picture.
No one's had their papers stamped.
No.
So everyone's available.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll just see what happens. And we've seen in the past just how injury you know, can take its toll throughout a series, and you know, you might be looking for, you know, half a dozen new players throughout a 3-game series.
Absolutely. Now, looking at the opposition, we've got a couple of form teams. You know, well done to Kevy and Benny Eichen and those guys up at Brisbane. They've really got them firing. The Cowboys sort of playing above many of our expectations,
Yes.
and a number of those players come into this Queensland side. So you never take it for granted. This is going to be a very close contest.
Yeah, it really is a toss of the coin when you have a look at the two lineups. and you speak about the form of, they're good players, are in form. Cameron Munster's never played better and more consistently played better. They've got a great forward pack headed up by, Tino at the back of the scrum, Josh Papali'i, and also Lindsay Collins. Back rowers have been there and done it before. So they've got some young and exciting outside backs with Selwyn Cobbo to make his debut, and Holmes is in great form for the Cowboys. So yeah, it's going to be a good battle.
It is, and you look at Ben Hunt, you'd almost have to say he's in one of those top 5 positions in the NRL when it comes to form at the moment, the way he's dominating games.
Yeah.
Got 3 points again last week.
Yeah, no, whenever the Dragons played well, Ben Hunt has been their best player. So that's why he sits on top of the Dally M leaderboard. He's been terrific form, and he's kept the Dragons' hopes alive to play finals footy.
Yeah, he's a tough football player. Now, how proud are you of the Penrith region? Of course, so well represented, and these young guys like Stephen Crichton, he can be anything as time goes by.
Yeah, Stephen's had a great season and did last year, and one of the reasons why he's locking down that number 14 spot is that last year at Penrith he played fullback, wing and centre and did all 3 quite well. So Stephen's a great talent. Yeah, of course I'm proud of the Penrith boys, but you walk in these doors, you drop your club colours and you just become a blue. Everyone becomes, and that's the key to Origin too. You've got to become a band of brothers. You've got to rely on each other, and to do that, you've just got to forget where you've come from, get yourself into camp, and you become a New South Wales player. And
it's interesting because some people say, "Oh, Stephen Crichton, why is he wearing jersey 14?" But it's the interchangeability of a football team, isn't it? Because even if he was only to play fullback, wing, or centre, the guy that he may be replacing, Jack Whiten, can then go and play 5'8" lock or second row, or you could chuck him in the front row. He's that kind of player.
Yeah, look, you can't cover all contingencies, but I think we've got most covered. So if there is an injury to one of our key players, Stephen can play all those positions, and the others can move around and fill spots. So, it's not easy. You've got to get the balance of it right. And we think we have.
That's part of the psychology, though, isn't it? There's a little bit more depth than sometimes we go, "Oh, why is he there?"
Yeah, that's true. And it's not strange to see an outside back on a bench. We in New South Wales, we just didn't have the luxury of picking someone. Ben Hunt is the perfect 14, can play dummy half, can play halfback. We haven't got that luxury, but we've got someone that can play any position in the outside backs, and we've got Jack Whiten who plays 5'8" for Canberra. So things aren't as bad as what they seem sometimes when people wonder why a player's been picked.
Yeah, I know, they jump at it so quickly. All right, let's have a look at a couple of these debutants as we move to wrap it up. But a guy like Madison is in the form of his life. He really is playing good football. Tony Staggs, he's got a certain strength that only comes in some kinds of footballers. And then we look at a guy like Joseph Suwali, who's now really starting to deliver. Even he's 18.
Yeah.
But when he leapt the other day like Jezelenko, it was extraordinary. So we're seeing a lot of these guys come in who are such talents.
Yeah, and opportunity, when it presents itself, you've got to make sure you grab it. And I know Joseph, is picked as one of the reserves, so he only comes in if someone falls over before Wednesday night. But I've got no doubt that he would handle it. Absolutely no doubt. He's a special talent, and it's not the spectacular things that made Freddie and I and the rest of the coaching staff think that he's ready for Origin footy. It's how tough he is. I watched Magic round game when the Roosters took on the Eels, and the Roosters received the ball from the kick-off. Jarawira Hargreaves hit it up. Joseph Suwali took play 2 into the teeth of the Parramatta pack. And we were actually having a chuckle about it last night. He crashed into Junior and Regan and still got a ball away. He's a tough young boy and very talented. Tony Staggs, we've seen what he's been able to do for Brisbane. And Katani's been on the New South Wales radar for a long time. He's a very, very talented young man. We brought him into camp when we had a game in Brisbane a couple of years ago, so he spent the day with us in preparation. So Katani's not new to the New South Wales setup. He's been part of an emerging Blues squad and training down at New South Wales. So, but great to have them in here, and those new boys, are particularly Katani, who will start. Very exciting for them.
What's he like, Katani?
He's a good guy. He's a great guy, and we had our get together. We had a dinner last night, and the boys are really mixing well. You know, and naturally, you know, Katoni and Payne are pretty close, being teammates, but Katoni's a terrific young man.
Yeah, and explosive, absolutely explosive. Well, finally, and of course, lastly but not least importantly, the Hall of Fame. We had our True Blues dinner the other night, and I love this, where we honour the past and so many great names on the walls. Ken Carney, this time, of course, long-term captain coach at the Dragons, revolutionised rugby league in so many ways. The wonderful Harry Wells, tough, and played at every level, 35 games for New South Wales. And your old mate, Ricky Stewart, the old nemesis. He was very emotional. I love Ricky. I know he's a mate of yours as well. I want to ask you two questions. Him as a player and him as a sledger.
As a player, I think, you know, players have got many different strengths, and I think one of the, you know, apart from Ricky's ability to, it was Ricky's competitive nature that made him the player he was, you know, and that's certainly true of a lot of players. And it's not that Stick didn't have the skill to go with it. Very talented player, but his competitive drive and just will to win made him a very difficult opponent, and he was in your face from moment one, which is, you know, great, and that's what you did back in those days. It was very personal. It was very much one-on-one, and you had to get over your opposite number. And you know, Rick, you know, we went on the 90 Kangaroo tour together and had some great times, and but Sticky was he was a bugger to play against.
What was he like on the sledging front? Because no one quite locked horns probably as much as you did, because you were half back in 90, half back in 91 when you got on top of them.
As I said, like Rick would not. There wasn't a moment's peace out there for 80 minutes. He was into you all the time, which is, you know, and you'd return serve, and you know, that's what made you know, I think footy made it special back then, because it really was, you know, your bit of turf against their bit of turf. It was very tribal, and not just amongst the fans but amongst the players too.
And finally, I love the nostalgia, and I think as we all get a little bit older, you tend to look at it and cherish it more. It's great that we do honour the past, and we do look to these wonderful memories of wonderful people who dug the well, so to speak, as Craig Young said.
Yeah, and I think that's true of club football, Tim, as well. You know, I think, you know, it might have taken a while for clubs to realise that it was important to honour what had gone before them, and New South Wales is no different. You know, it's a very proud state. You know, we love New South Wales Rugby League, and it's great to see that, you know, we are honouring those that did great things for us in the past.
As you and the coaching staff and the team will do all next week. Have a great week and all the best for the game. We've successfully gone behind Blue Eyes. Brandy, thank you.
Thanks, Timmy.